Hi everybody. Sorry for starting this kind of late once again, but I've been feeling kind of sick for the last 2 days or so, and to be honest, I didn't even want to get out of bed today. I got the flu or something. And I'm gonna sore all over. I've got headaches. I alternate between feeling too hot and too cold. I'm cold right now, which is why I'm all hooded up here. Uh, but I needed to do this at some point, so here we are. And I'm sorry to anyone who looks forward to it, but I don't think I'll be taking questions from the chat room this time. I'm not really up to doing a lot of Q&A right now. I really just want to get this review done and then go back to bed and queue up the next episode of Daredevil. So let's just do this before my voice dies out again. Okay, so Impact Wrestling, March 13th. We're back in the States now. The UK tour is over, unfortunately. Even more unfortunately, we're back in the Impact Zone. But this particular Impact was a live show, so at least the crowd was pretty good on this one. The first night of TV tapings, and that definitely helped with the energy level that the crowd was actually into it this time. The show was moving at a quick pace all night. The timing issues weren't a problem this time. Having a slight overrun definitely helped with that. I hope they can get overruns more often, because those few extra minutes really do make a world of difference, especially for the main event. But first things first. We start off with Jeff Hardy making his big return from being pile-driven through a table by Eric Young, but really from drug trafficking charges that prevent him from leaving the country. Apparently, Dixie Carter showed up at one point to make the stipulation that the winner gets into the main event, and her appearance totally killed the crowd, or so I hear. I actually missed the first minute or two of the show, so I didn't see that, but the match is decent enough, I suppose. I don't know what we should have expected from Jeff coming off a broken leg, but I was satisfied with it. You keep in mind, though, my anticipation for this whole thing had been lowered considerably after the way EY had been booked following the injury angle. Instead of building him up as a force, so Jeff coming back to get his revenge would be really hot, they jobbed out EY multiple times. They had him and Bram get embarrassed by Lashley 2-on-1, and then he goes over in an underwhelming time filler King of the Mountain match, and now I'm supposed to think that he's a danger to Jeff Hardy? Doesn't work that way. It's almost as if they deliberately sabotaged Eric Young here, and I don't know why. The match was okay, but the payoff to the injury angle could have been so much bigger than it was. Anyway, Jeff wins. He gets a spot in the main event world title match, and Matt is not happy about it. He tries to talk Jeff out of taking this match, tries to placate him, saying that, they can have a one-on-one match for the title sometime in 2017, or better yet, 2018. That was actually pretty funny. But no, Jeff wants it tonight, and he lays Matt out. Good return for Jeff. Could have been a bigger deal. Under ideal circumstances, him versus EY could have been the main event, but they were loading this show up. So I think the opening spot was a good place for it, and I was fine with what we got. And it seemed to pay off in the ratings too, so I think it all worked out. Something I was not happy about was, not so happy about as this, was the finish of the mixed tag match. The match is good. When Maria wasn't doing stuff, and thankfully they kept her involvement minimal, at least until the end. But this is what I was afraid of. I thought it was a bad idea to have Maria wrestling at all, because in my opinion, she's a way more interesting antagonist for Gail when she doesn't wrestle, because that means Gail can't just beat her the same way she beats everyone else. It's a different type of story this time. But if Maria gets in the ring, she just becomes like every other feud Gail has, except in this case the match quality probably won't be as good. But lo and behold, just a few weeks after promising that she would never get in the ring, Maria gets in the ring. Because that's much better than signing Cherry Bomb and having her feud with Gale instead, right? It was a really enjoyable mixed tag match, though. Something I liked about this was that they actually had a fair amount of interaction between the men and women. They didn't try to keep them away from each other at all cost, like you tend to see in mixed tags. Like when the man tags in, the woman has to tag out on general principles. No, they let them do stuff together. They had Gale attacking Mike Bennett in there, and it didn't look out of place at all. They didn't try to turn it into a joke or play it for laughs, and the crowd got a kick out of it too. Plus, Bennett and Galloway were both doing really well here. I very much enjoyed this match. Then the finish happened. And Maria simply rolls Gale up and pins her. Because that's all it takes. After she beat Awesome Kong more decisively than she's ever beaten Awesome Kong, after she beat Jade in the UK, it's suddenly that easy to pin Gail Kim, just with one roll-up, by Maria, of all people. Because Awesome Kong and Jade were just warm-ups for Maria Kanellis. Yeah, that doesn't work for me. I'm sorry, but after the way Gale has been booked to be so dominant and so unstoppable for the last year or so, this didn't make Maria look great. It just felt like a bunch of bullshit. I didn't buy it whatsoever. Can we get some new knockouts, please, for the love of God? This is just getting ridiculous now. Speaking of new knockouts, Rosemary made her in-ring debut, technically. So yay! And this was pretty cool, actually, because we got Beer Money and Eddie Edwards versus all three members of the Decay in an intergender match. The nice thing about this is that the Decay are at a perceived disadvantage because they're working with a girl, but it's not treated that way. It actually feels weirdly appropriate because the Decay's characters are the way they are. It just feels like something they do. And best of all, the Decay win the match, which is great because they really needed that win. I would have liked Rosemary to get to do a little more because she is a good wrestler. Let her hit a couple moves in there. Let her spear somebody. But, she plays a key role in getting them the victory, and having a girl in the match that can mix it up with the guys, that the guys are allowed to attack as well, that adds a whole new element to this thing that you don't typically see. Certainly not in WWE, that's for sure. It feels like something unique. Call me crazy, but I think there really is something to this intergender stuff. It wouldn't work with every girl, but with the right match and the right story, you can do something interesting with it, and we saw a nice example of that here. So I really like this. I think the time is now to push the Decay. TNA need to strike while the iron's hot with this group because they're catching on fast. Did you hear the crowd when Beer Money were about to suplex Rosemary? They were eating this up. I think TNA have really got something with this group. They feel like a totally unique act, from the music to the way the pre-tapes are filmed, and people are digging it. So hit the gas pedal on this thing. Let's make this group a real force, If they're not the ones who beat Beer Money for the tag titles, I'd say by Slammiversary, then there's something wrong. And let's get Rosemary in the knockout division too while we're at it. Next, Josh Matthews interviews Lashley, who's in full-blown heel mode now. Still no sign of Raquel. I don't know where she disappeared to. That storyline may have been dropped. But this was probably one of Lashley's better promos. Wasn't amazing, but for him, this was pretty good. His reasons for turning were acceptable, no complaints about that. He seems a little more inspired now that he's playing a heel. The crowd is responding to him more that way. And I think they managed to not drop the ball after they had Lashley rain on Kurt Angle's parade, farewell party last week. Him attacking Josh was cool. And he speared the Pope out of his boots. That was awesome. Made Lashley look like a scumbag. Pope took that spear like $1 million too. Is Pope going to be getting back in the ring here? Because I'd like that. It sure would be nice if TNA tried to fix the mistake they made when they pissed that star away a couple of years ago. So yeah, I like this a lot. Sign me up for heel Lashley. This is working out really well so far. Something I am much less enthusiastic about, however, is... Oh, Jesus Christ. So, Grado now has video evidence of Eli Drake screwing him that just materialized out of nowhere. apparently. Beats the hell out of me how he acquired this video evidence, since he's supposed to be fired and thus would not have access to it. But I guess he got it for the same reason why he was able to return after being fired, just by wearing a mask and spelling his name backwards. Because this storyline is a horribly written piece of crap. The evidence is inconclusive, so Eli Drake, 1, does not get fired himself, and 2, gets to keep the King of the Mountain title shot. That's the good news. Fuck everything else that happened here. Eli Drake gets embarrassed by Grado again, loses to Grado again, in a fucking ladder match, no less. This is fucking ridiculous. How many times has Eli Drake lost to this jackass by now? How are we supposed to take him seriously as a threat to what's supposed to be your viable mid-card title, or a threat in any way, shape, or form to anyone for that matter, if he can't even get over on this idiot? And I'm not blind, okay? I could see the reaction this got. Clearly, the audience was into the match and the angle got over. But that's what frustrates me so much, because for the life of me, I do not understand why. This storyline has been fucking terrible. The writing is so full of holes, it's embarrassing that this made it to the screen, because it's so carelessly written, it feels like the creative team just didn't give a shit, and then it somehow got over despite its best efforts to sink like the Titanic. And all in an effort to put over Grado. Grado! Honestly, this was one of those times when I seriously wondered if pro wrestling is just not for me anymore. Like it's catering to an audience that I'm just not a part of. Like I've changed too much, or the business has changed too much, or something. I don't know. But I guess this angle succeeded in what it wanted to do, though I couldn't tell you why. Made me want to pull my hair out watching this, but apparently I'm in the minority on that one, so sucks to be me, I guess. That brings us to our main event world title match, Matt Hardy versus EC3 versus Jeff Hardy, in a match I didn't think we'd see until Slammiversary. Wouldn't surprise me if someone backstage saw the dropping viewership since Matt won the world title and called an audible here, because there was a feeling of switching gears. Not in a bad way, but definitely in the sense that we're going in a different direction now, and I think this worked about as well as they could have hoped, not just because it paid off in the ratings. If I had one complaint about the match, it's that it was no DQ, but for most of the time they were working it like a normal match. You know, if I'm in a main event, if I'm in a world title match and it's no DQ, I'm going to go for a weapon immediately. But no, they were just working it normally most of the time. So basically, the no DQ thing was just so they could do tons of interference and still have a finish. And you could certainly play the overbooking card if you wanted to, but I think this is one of those rare occasions when that didn't matter, and in fact enhanced the match more than anything. They were very careful with how they booked this. They didn't throw too much out there all at once. It starts with just these three guys telling a story, using psychology. Matt wants to do the Hardy's old tag team moves, but Jeff's having none of it, but then he does it with EC3, which was cool. Then they start breaking out the bigger moves. The top rope power slam was really cool. But then Matt starts to realize that nothing he does is working, and it's only then that he gets desperate, and then the interference begins, because by then it means something. You know, Jeff gets taken out, and this was the first swerve, because after he was taken to the back, I thought he was just going to come back to... thought he was going to return to the match as Willow. You know, somehow miraculously healed from the beating EY and Bram gave him. They even set up the Willow thing before the match, so I was sure that I was so sure that would happen, but it didn't. Clever misdirect there. I'm so happy they didn't go for the cliched route, because I honestly hate that angle when a guy gets injured and leaves, but then comes back fully healed, or you know he gets taken away in an ambulance and then he shows up and then he drives the ambulance back to the arena and he shows back and he's fine now. So stupid. No, they didn't do that here. And then Matt starts throwing the kitchen sink at EC3. Spud, tie wrist, load lows, nothing's working. Nothing can keep this guy down. All the while, I keep expecting either Willow to come back or Lashley to be the difference maker. Because they set up EC3 Lashley last week. And for the match not to end until Lashley takes out EC3. But Lashley never shows up either. Instead, it's Mike Bennett who finally removes EC3 from the match. I don't know why Bennett was out there. And at the time, I didn't really care because it was something I didn't see coming. All I need is a decent explanation afterward, and I'm good. I'm fine with it. And as an added bonus, this took EC3 out of the match without him having to be pinned or submitted by Hepatitis Hardy. Fantastic. So suddenly, Matt's alone. He heals it up for the crowd. He thinks the day is won. And then suddenly there's Drew Galloway with his Feast or Fired briefcase. It's another swerve I didn't see coming. Maybe if it was someone else, I would have expected to cash in, but Galloway had been presented as such a goody two-shoes babyface that you'd expect him to be the type of character to announce when he was going to cash in, like a Slammiversary or something. You wouldn't expect him to go for the surprise cash in when the heel is exhausted. He wasn't that type of character, but that's what he did. I guess because he just couldn't stand Matt Hardy as the world champion either. So fingers crossed, maybe this is the start of a change for the Drew Galloway character. Like I said previously, a little character surgery was really the only thing this guy was lacking. That's what was holding him back from going for the world title, in my opinion. The character hadn't totally clicked yet. Maybe they're accounting for that now, or at least trying to. So there were a lot of moving parts here, that's true. A lot of things going on in this match, but by paying attention to the story and timing it all very carefully, it all worked. And look at all the positive things they accomplished here. EC3 didn't get pinned or submitted by Matt. Matt lost the world title, thank God. The new champion seems a lot more promising and may have just gotten the one thing he was missing. We potentially get Galloway out of the feud with Mike Bennett, which I felt was happening at the wrong time. Maybe they called another audible and switched gears on that one too. I don't know. And to cap it all off, after Drew won the title, they stayed on it for a while. They didn't end the show immediately. They didn't cut away to something else and cheapen the whole thing like they so often do. They stayed on it. They showed him celebrating with the fans. They really let the moment sink in to give the impression that something really big had just happened here. And thanks to the overrun, they actually had the time to do it. They really hit a home run in this segment. Honestly, I don't think this could have worked out any better. Well done on this one. They were really working my last nerve with the Grado thing, but this was an impressive recovery. And there were a bunch of highs and lows on this Impact, but I ended up feeling really good about it. I'm never going to be happy about the Grado Eli Drake angle turned out the way it did. That's going to be a sore spot for a long time, but the main event made up for it nicely, and the production team even redeemed themselves for the timing issues that plagued the show last week. But something that I must point out, once again, there was no X Division and no new knockouts debuting anywhere on the show. So apparently TNA are not getting the picture yet, so keep those tweets coming. Send them to Dixie Carter, John Gaburek, Impact Wrestling with the hashtag Revive the X Division, hashtag Cherry Bomb for TNA. Myself and the guys from the Heelcast at TNAsylum.net are trying to create a movement within the fan community to try to create some positive change in this company. So we're encouraging everyone to tweet these hashtags to the people responsible for getting things done in Impact Wrestling to try to create some change here because we want to see it. And on that... Oh, fuck. Oh, sorry. On that note, the Knockouts Knockdown show was taped a couple days ago, excuse me. I'm losing it here. But I don't want to give anything away, but things are looking good when it comes to the Cherry Bomb thing. But it never hurts to grease the wheels, and nothing's for sure until she's on the roster page, so keep tweeting TNA, Dixie Carter, John Gaburek, hashtag Cherry Bomb for TNA, hashtag Revive the X Division. Let them know how you feel, and don't be shy about it, because nothing's going to happen until we make it happen. Oh, wow. Sorry, I'm off my game tonight. I'm really not feeling well. All right. I'm gonna look through the chat room real fast. I'm not. I'm not gonna be able to do every question here just because I really just want to go lie down. Uh, let's see. I wasn't expecting a lot of new talent on this week's show, but to not have a single debut from anybody when they rarely do live shows is disappointing. Yeah. Of course, this was just the first night of several weeks worth of TV tapings. Um, they're doing a number of impacts as well as a Knockouts Knockdown show, and well, again, not giving anything away, but I think there's at least two new talents that are basically a lock at this point. I'd be very surprised if they're not. Not going to give anything away for people who don't want to be spoiled though. But the show results are out there. Foggy coming off as an overprotective girlfriend. Yeah. Please, for the love of God, no Daredevil spoilers. I'm only up to episode 5 of season 2 so far. So if I see any spoilers, I'm shutting this stream down right now. Thoughts on the results of Knockouts Knockdown? Again, no spoilers, but I was happy with it. I think that's absolutely what should have happened, and I'm very happy about the girl who made it to the final 3, who shall remain nameless because spoilers. But yeah, I'm very happy with the results. Mike Bennett's chair shots to EC3 were horrible. Even Maria would have hit him harder. Yeah, I mean, there were things about that match you could pick apart. I think the timing and the psychology ended up saving it, but yeah, there were things that could have done better in the match, though. I would have liked to see more of Rosemary in the match, but I'm still happy to see her in matches against men. Yeah, I would prefer to see her in the knockout division, but I like seeing her mix it up with the men though, and I like that they didn't make a big thing out of it. It's something that it's just something that feels normal for her. And I like that she wasn't scared to get involved with the men like Maria was. That was fun. I'm sorry again. I'm sorry. I'm skipping around here, but I don't have the energy to do all these. Mike Bennett in ROH was pretty much Adam Cole's human shield. Mike is a good talker though. Yeah. I think he's shown a lot more personality in the few weeks he's been in TNA than he ever did in ROH. I think they're getting much better use out of him. Mike Bennett needs to hit the gym. Yeah, I've noticed that too. There have been several occasions when they put Mike Bennett in the ring with guys that have better physiques than him. EC3 for one, Drew Galloway for one, Pepper Parks for one, and that was just a one-time thing. It's like a tryout. So for a guy called the Miracle, that's probably calling himself the Miracle. That's probably not good. He should probably try to bulk up a little bit. And he hit the weights again. The Decay's theme is awesome. In fact, most people's themes are really good now. Corgan's done a good job with the entrance music. Yeah, that's one thing that when they brought Billy Corgan in, that's the first thing I thought. Well, the music is going to get a lot better now because he can get the rights to some good tracks, so they don't have to rely on Dale Oliver and his generic as hell theme songs anymore. At least not completely. That's definitely something that Billy Corgan's done. Having Billy Corgan has been really beneficial. Rosemary starting to become another reason why I'm still watching TNA. Good. Pope got a great pop. Is he still a wrestler or is he retired? I heard he retired, but he would be opening to returning under the right circumstances. Yeah, they've teased us. They've teased him getting back in the ring a couple of times now, so I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. Hope it does. Why are you wearing a hoodie in the springtime? Because I'm sick. And I'm cold. I'm actually having chills right now, so. Surely Drake should be fired with that proof. I don't get it. Yeah, I guess the trick is that they didn't actually see him switching the cases. So they don't know for an absolute certainty that he switched them. They know he did something, but his back was to the camera and the cases were hidden from the camera view, so they didn't actually see him switching the cases. He probably did. They know he probably did, but they can't prove it for an absolute certainty. So it's a technicality. They sign any combination of these five, I'll be excited about it. Veda Scott, Allison Kay, Cherry Bomb, Leva Bates, Shelly Martinez. Yeah, okay. Well, you said it. So, those are the girls they brought in for Knockouts Knockdown this year. I was disappointed to not see Jennifer Blake in that group. I think it's a pretty good group, though. I don't know what the hell Shelly Martinez is doing in there. I mean, they had her, but she was in the company once upon a time, and you really can't say much of anything about her. She was a decent manager, I guess, but that's about it. I have no desire to see her wrestling ever again. But yeah, I'd love it if they signed, in addition to Cherry Bomb, Veda Scott would be great. Leva Bates would probably, generate a little bit of buzz due to the blue pants thing. Allison Kay, I'm hot and cold on Allison Kay. I think she has some of the best mic skills out of any woman in the entire industry. She's probably in, the top 3 as far as mic skills. In terms of wrestling, I'm not as high on her. I'm not as impressed with her wrestling as her mic skills, but, she can definitely, talk most people under the table. If this Grado feud was against someone with less potential than Eli Drake, you wouldn't have a problem with it. I'd have less of a problem with it. I'd still have a problem with it because it puts over Grado, who I can't stand. Thoughts on the 38% ratings increase? I was happy to see it. I think it was probably a combination of it being live and the timing being a lot better, and plus maybe people were anxious to see Matt Hardy lose the title. I think it's funny that the ratings on Pop TV had been going up every week until Matt won the title, and then they went down every week until Matt lost the title, and then suddenly they shoot back up. Iconic my ass. Why didn't Dixie make it a no interference match? So just a normal match, then? Obviously Spud and Fat Boy would try to interfere. Well, as we've seen on TNA TV over the years, Dixie is not that bright. That's probably why. By the way, they had a mixed tag intergender ladder match and no DQ match in one show. Where's the color filter? Can't really do those on a live stream. I'm sorry. Yeah, they set up tension between Bennett and EC 3 weeks ago during a backstage segment. It's true, they did, and then it hadn't been mentioned or revisited since. Just saying. Kind of surprised that Salinas returned during Knockouts Knockdown. Also, finally noticed Barbie Hayden as I saw her in a pic Dixie tweeted. My guess is they had someone else in mind for the Knockouts Knockdown show and they canceled, and Shelly Martinez is probably a last-minute replacement. I don't see why they'd bother bringing her back otherwise. Barbie Hayden, that might have been as simple as, they were going to have Raquel wrestle on that show, and she is a very unproven commodity, so Barbie was, I believe, one of Raquel's 3 matches that she's had so far, so there might be some familiarity there, and I guess they were reasonably confident that they could work together and not screw up too bad. So that might have been it. Although there was a pretty hilarious botch in that match they had on the Indies. I'm just saying. Find that match and watch it, because there's one point where Raquel throws a kick that misses by a fucking mile. Okay. Whatever happened to the Von Erichs? Why do you think TNA passed on signing them? Because they were really green and they weren't ready. That's why. Thoughts on Hogan winning the case against Gawker? I don't care. I really don't care. I mean, it might not be the answer you want, but as long as he's not on my TV, I really don't give a shit what Hogan does. Fuck Hulk Hogan. Racist piece of crap. I hear Pepper Parks possibly on an Impact taping with Cherry Bomb. Well, if you look at the show reports, Pepper Parks does show up. I think that may have been an Impact, a one night only. No, I think it was an Explosion match. But yeah, he was there, and Cherry was with him. So Cherry wasn't just there for the Knockouts Knockdown show, just like last time when they used her a couple times for the one night only tapings last year. Those two have to be locks at this point. They have to be. I mean, they've used them each a number of times. I mean, how many times do you have to see them before you give them a fucking contract? And they need new talent. These two are good talents and want to work for them. I don't know what the holdup is. If they're not signed yet, I expect them to be soon. I hope Jade breaks away from the dollhouse, makes an impact on her own, because she needs to be a single star. I think that's certainly the trajectory she's on. I don't think there's a need to break up the dollhouse yet, because they haven't even been around that long. But again, it becomes a question of, well, what the hell else do you have to do with them? You know, the feud with the beautiful people seems to be done. I wouldn't want that to continue any longer. And so, with the roster they have, what else can they really do except have Jade break off and go singles? You know? I'd like them to stay together for a while longer, but again, lack of options. The only thing they really have to do now is break up, because they've got no one else to feud with. Okay. Are you going to watch the Fitzsimmons episode of Ultimate Spider-Man? Already watched it. Yeah. It was a little... It was not as annoying as it was the last time I watched it, which is, I don't know, season 1, like before I gave up on the show. Still, it's just not the kind of Spider-Man cartoon that I'm looking for. I would have liked Fitzsimmons to play some kind of bigger role. It seemed like they were just there as kind of background figures. They didn't even really do that much. And you turn them into lizard creatures, which why? You have these two actors from Shield guest starring on your show doing the voices for their characters, and then you turn them into lizard monsters. Why? Wouldn't you want to do a little more with them? Yeah. I was disappointed with how they used them. It's still pretty cool though. Matt losing was awesome. Didn't think Drew would use the Feast or Fire briefcase, so I was legit surprised, which was great. Yeah, the surprise was what made it work, because you wouldn't expect a character like him to cash in like that. Which I guess was part of the problem with him, because he seemed like too much of a goody two-shoes, so I like him getting his hands dirty a little bit. Might have been the one thing he was missing. I'm hoping that TNA can still use the rights to songs for wrestlers in future DVDs and stuff, and hope that they won't have to dub over the music. I think as long as Billy Corgan is working for them, he could probably swing that. So I'm guessing either Veda Scott's contract with ROH expired, or she's a free agent working wherever she wants. Something definitely happened there. She took all the ROH stuff off her Twitter account, and she made some cryptic tweets about that, so something happened. Her appearing on the Knockouts Knockdown show may have had something to do with that, but she appeared on one previously, and ROH didn't seem to have a problem with it then. Maybe something else happened, I don't know. What could they cut? What could they cut this week to fit the X Division or a women's match? Well, I would have liked them to cut the Grado segment. Apparently, I'm in the minority there. Was kind of disappointed all we got from the Knockouts was a mixed tag. Mixed tag and an intergender match, technically. But if this means a week off of Knockouts leading to debut new Knockouts at recent tapings, then I'm okay with it. I was fine with what we got. Again, with the limited roster we have, it's really just going to be the same matches over and over again, so if they want to mix it up by having them do stuff with the men from time to time, that's fine with me. Is there anything else here? Do you know if TNA still has working relationships with AAA, GFW, and Evolve? I think TNA need to expand and build more relationships with more companies. I'm pretty sure the AAA relationship came to an end when Jeff Jarrett left. I think that was mostly his doing. And, big surprise, it led to absolutely nothing. Did anyone even notice? I mean, what was that relationship even good for anyway? TNA sent some talent to AAA, but did TNA ever get anything out of it? Not really. GFW, as far as I know, they still have some kind of relationship with them. And, they worked something out with, giving GFW exposure on their show. I would suspect the relationship is amiable. Evolve, no idea. I would suspect not. You're going to be reviewing Daredevil Thursday night. I think I'll probably do a separate Daredevil stream at some point. If you guys want to ask me questions about it, that's fine. But I haven't seen the whole season yet, so we'll see how that goes. Maybe if I can watch all 13 episodes before Thursday, we can talk about that. But you guys can ask me questions, sure. That was the winter Angelina Love thing ever explained. The time traveling lesbian vampires thing. No, that was I still don't know what the hell that was. I think that's where we're gonna call it quits. I'm sorry I couldn't get to every question, but I don't know. It's starting to hit me again now. I was feeling a little better earlier, but now it's I don't know. I'm feeling cold. I'm getting chills again, so I'm gonna call it quits for today. I'm gonna go take a hot shower and then get back in bed. So thanks for tuning in. Keep sending in those tweets to Dixie Carter, John Gaburek, Impact Wrestling, hashtag Revive the X Division, hashtag Cherry Bomb for TNA. I will see you guys on Thursday for the Comic Show post show. I think Flash and Arrow are back this week, so we'll have that to talk about as well as Shield, and hopefully I'll be feeling better by then. So I'll talk to you guys then. Till then, peace out. Night.